sure your glass gets refilled without asking for anything. They make sure they check back with the table that everything is okay, and they keep coming by your table and see that you're serving, and they do it in a pleasant manner. And some of the restaurants, I'm sure you've had the experience. You go in and you get your food, and you say to yourself, "That's the last time I'll see that person till I get my bill," because they don't know what service is.
Don, you've mentioned the phrase "do it with a pleasant manner." I want to interject something that'll get you going. I know going the extra mile is a personality that a person. It's just who they are when they finally understand what it is to give to others. I've learned that. But I was driving, I talked earlier how you introduced me to Tom Too Tall Cunningham. So part of going the extra mile is doing your homework, making sure you're totally prepared, like the Boy Scout motto. And so when I was getting ready to be interviewed by Tom Too Tall, I wanted to listen to a number of his other interviews so I could know his style and just sort of understand it better. And I was driving to one of my prisons, Deerfield Correctional, and it was about an hour-and-a-half drive. And I said, well, I'm going to listen to a podcast of a Tom Too Tall interview. And when I set my iPhone, or not my smartphone, it came up with Napoleon Hill rare interviews that I didn't know existed. And I listened, instead of to Tom Too Tall that day, I listened to the first of the 9 rare interviews of Napoleon Hill himself, and I listened to Definiteness of Purpose. And the timing was incredible. I wanted to walk into the door of the prison and just emote on the inmates there that I was going to do my seminar, because I wanted to make sure that when I got there, I gave them everything that I possibly could to really be not, on the top of my game, but just to really give them good things that could help them. So here's what I'm saying. Napoleon Hill is the master. He is the greatest motivational person ever. And so I want to point out to the listeners that if you Google Napoleon or search for Napoleon Hill's rare interviews, you're going to find a collection there. And I've been listening to them constantly for the last couple of weeks here. But here's my point. I had no idea that by me having a desire to make sure that I did good in that interview with Tom Too Tall by doing some homework, and for me also to get pumped up, inspired before I went into that prison that day, that I was rewarded with Napoleon Hill himself. And I've been listening to him, and you are just going right down the list of the interview that I listened to the last couple of days here of Going the Extra Mile. And so it's amazing how something happens in life that we don't have any control over. But when you live this way, good things will start to happen because your character becomes pleasing to other people, and people want to be there for you and help you move forward. Like you're doing with me, Don, networking with me and supporting me.
Well, Steve, let me read you something other that goes. I print a little booklet for some people that just the extra mile. It's just a thing for employees. It's printed in a nice little pamphlet. And here's a statement straight from Hill, and this will go. This is word for word. It said, here's an appropriate place to remind you of an important thing about the habit of going the extra mile by doing more than one is paid for. It's a strange influence which it has on the man who does it. The greatest benefit from this habit does not come to those to whom the service is rendered. It comes to the one who renders the service in the form of a changed mental attitude, which gives him more influence with other people, more self-reliance, greater initiative, more enthusiasm, and more vision and deafness of purpose. All of these are qualities of successful achievement. That's straight out of it. That's what you're talking about. For example, if I do a good deed for someone, that person it may end right there as far as that person concerned. I may do a deed for them I never hear back from or what have you. But the fact that I was able to do it, I feel good about myself. I'm in a good frame of mind. You can only be creative when you're in a good frame of mind. You can't hold hatred and jealousy and be creative and expect to have good results. And so, my goodness, you shouldn't even be driving a car when you're angry and you're not in a good frame of mind. You're much more apt to make a mistake. Just like I just barely got my call through to be able to do this one, and it was a guy from of all places, Dubai, the Arabic country, and this guy had contacted us, and he got in touch with me. He was having trouble going online for a $599 course. I sent him an email and told him could he call me, and he called. And the fact is, he called, and I told him, I call him Max because he called once before. His name's a lot more than that. It's MASHXMOHOUD or something.
Yes.
One of his names. I said, you care if I call you Max? And he said, that's fine. So I said, Max, I can help you. I said, I'm not a tech person. I said, you got a credit card? Yeah, I got a credit card. I said, I'm going to put you with a young gentleman. I said, can take that $599. I know you've been trying to register online, and it was something of an incomplete address, looking for a zip code in a foreign country. So he had had trouble for a few days, and I talked to him, and I said, wait just a minute. And so I had the other guy at the office on the phone, and I'm on this phone, and then I get on the cell phone, and I've got the phones all tied up, and I said, let me let you speak to Zane just a second. You give him everything he wants on the credit card. And within about less than 2 minutes, Zane accepted his payments and got approval on the thing. And, it was just doing a little bit extra. My time is worth something of it. But that guy was all over himself because he got that thing approved, and he gets started in taking a course. It's only $599. But it wouldn't make no difference to me if it's $99 for it's $30,000 or whatever. It was all the same act, just trying to go a little bit extra, because I could let the thing go, then the guy would never got registered, and he had been frustrated, and he'd just give up on the thing. But it definitely does pay, and it separates the people between those that succeed and those dream about it.
Don, let me give you one quick example of how going the extra mile really works. And I'm going to be very literal with the listeners here. You in Wise, Virginia, I live in Norfolk, Virginia. I've driven round trip 8 hours. Let's see, it takes me 6 hours to get to you. So I've driven round trip 12 hours. And going back a little over 3.5 years ago when I first picked up the phone and said, you know what, I'm going to call the Napoleon Hill Foundation and see if I can introduce myself. That's all I did. Was I love Napoleon Hill, and I said, I want to see if I can introduce myself. And you took the call. So, yeah, I did demonstrate a little personal initiative, but I asked, could I come visit you? And you received me, and then the next time I wanted to come visit you, you told me that you weren't sure that you'd be available because your wife was ill at the time and that you were taking good care of her, and you said, I might not be able to see you. And I said, well, Don, I listen to books on tape in the car, and I want to drive even if you're not going to be able to see me. And the second time I came to see you, you weren't able to see me. And I understood that going into it. But here we are 3.5 years later, and here's the real point. I drove 7,518 miles from Norfolk, Virginia, all the way through Memphis, Tennessee, to Tulsa, Oklahoma, up through Colorado, into Oregon, to go to a prison that I've talked about on the show. But instead of going straight to Oregon and cutting out probably 700 or 800 miles to go a little more direct, I went through Tulsa, Oklahoma to meet Jim Stovall, that you have given me his books, and I called him the same as I called you. But I went not just the extra mile, I went thousands of miles extra because I knew that associating with Jim Stovall. But so, you turned me on to Jim Stovall, mastermind group, networking people around who we associate with. I just want to say that this attitude toward life, where you are willing to go that extra mile and put yourself out for other people and not worry. And here's the secret that I've learned from it all. Don't worry about how it comes back to you. Just know and believe that it will. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today. I've just done an interview on Journey to Success that's got some of the most famous people in the whole world, and they let me on that show just because Right Thinking Foundation's mission in helping economically disadvantaged hardship populations, particularly in prisons, come back out. They believe in that with me now. And so you can't do it by yourself. So, Don, I want to throw this one at you. When I listen to Going the Extra Mile on Napoleon Hill himself, and please, everybody, if you're thinking, well, I don't have time to do this kind of stuff, start participating, start listening. Don's got a book called Everything I Know About Success, I Learned from Napoleon Hill, and it's the essential lessons for using the power of positive thinking. if you start doing these kind of things, they start to take over your life. Your personality starts to change. You start to have things happen that you never really believed they could. And then all of a sudden, you're doing it. But Don, with the going the extra mile, Napoleon Hill said that the very best place to start practicing going the extra mile is with your marriage, your marital partner, your spouse. That's the best wisdom anybody's ever given. Think about that. If you get along with your closest relationship, you're going to have a much more comfortable, stable frame of mind all the time. You're going to be living in a peaceful place.
You're absolutely right. The reason I couldn't see you, my wife was sick. In fact, after a marriage of 54 years, she passed away. And for that period of time, I never deserted her. I never took no trips or anything. I had a nurse with her 24 hours a day. But I can remember as a young person when I was reading those books. And I mean, I got married early, young. We was in love, so wasn't really prepared. But I got to reading these books and making $1.25 an hour and working outside after furnishing my own car. But I got so turned on that stuff, I started making goals, and I shared them with her. And I can tell you today was kind of silly, and things I said. This is. I looked at the future. This is what I envisioned. And I showed them to her, and she said, I believe you. But then she said, don't show them to nobody. I said, why? She said, they think you're crazy. And I'll tell you now, because it's a long time ago. This has been like 56, 57 years ago. I wanted $1 million. I wanted a gold Rolex. And I wanted a black Mercedes. Because to me, as the background I come from, we never had a bathroom when I was 11 in high school. My parents were products of the Depression. To me at that time that would show you're successful. Of course, today is, I think success is how much influence I can help, what I can do for mankind. But my ideas of what success was a little different. Though money is important, and people says it's not. They're not telling the truth, because to lead any kind of life, you have to have access to money, your money or somebody's money, because some things require money. And that was my ideas then, and I said I would never consider that today. Though I did reach all those goals and many, many, many more, but things change. I know now that. And I've known it for many, many years. My influence is helping other people. I do not want to be laying there at the wake and someone start having conversation about how much money the guy had, or how much property he had, or how much stock he had, or whatever. I hope the discussion would be about, I wonder how many kids he helped go to college. And I can tell you the number of presidents. I'm telling you, I don't mean the ones that went through. I'm talking about the present one it's helping. I'm helping 50 kids go to college. And I don't mean to brag. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that I'm able to accomplish it. I wish it was 10 times that many. But we do what we each can. And it's the influence I've had on other people to see young guys go out. And I could tell you story after story after story of how some of these young people have turned out that stay in touch with me. The ones that's worked for me on an intern basis, and like Zane and Tosh, that's a pharmacist. One little girl likes to hear her being a doctor, and I could go on and on and on. And it takes us a while to realize we was put here to serve one another, and it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling in the world to know that you put an effort out, and sometimes successful, maybe sometimes not. My mother asked me one time. She said, "Don, you give a lot of books away. You said you guess the kids read them." I said, "Mom, my responsibility ends when I give them the books." I said, "But I know one of the kids read them." She said, "You do?" I said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "I did." And I said, "I know what it's enabled me to do, and I'm sure the other kids will succeed many times over what I've done."
Don, that's absolutely beautiful, and that's all part of the Bible. It's not just Napoleon Hill, and I want to say this. This has been in my heart for a long time. You know, a lot of people, they don't read Napoleon Hill. They don't read success type things because they think that, well, it's going outside of the Word sometimes. Well, I want to say this, and Outwitting the Devil, that we had our conversation with Leffert Faith last week, And what we're working toward next is I want to get a